Erika Kirk is taking Turning Point USA's European tour to Belfast, aiming to recruit students from local schools and universities into conservative politics and Christian ideals.
Okay, so you know how Erika Kirk has been silent on the whole thing? Just as she's been totally silent on the whole gun violence thing that ended her husband's life. Well, now she's going to Belfast. Like, that's her move. Screenshots are all over the internet right now of her exchanging gifts and inappropriate text messages with a 15-year-old. Candace Owens is losing her shit, and her own employees are getting fired for asking questions. And she's like, you know what? Europe.
Erika Kirk is expected to visit here as part of a tour to recruit young people to the group, and especially young women, because it is a more typically male worldview.
And Erika's not going for a much-needed break from the spotlight. No. She's going to recruit teenagers, 15 to 25-year-olds to be exact, into Turning Point USA. While these grooming allegations are very much still trending, and the guy helping Erika set all of this up is a disgraced politician, Paisley Jr., who literally got caught taking secret luxury holidays from a government that massacred 40,000 people, then blamed his own staff when he got caught, and then lost his parliamentary seat last year. And now he has apparently nothing else going on except hanging around Trump's golf course and doing this. And Belfast specifically is a significant place for this to go down. Like, of all places, this is a city that went through decades of religious extremism, using God to manipulate teenagers into sectarian violence. We're talking about bombings, murders, years of trauma that they're still dealing with, 30 years to be exact. And Paisley Jr.'s actual father was one of the guys that blocked every peace deal for years. He was a fire and brimstone preacher who basically made his whole career out of weaponizing young people. We've seen some connections here, and it's giving like, I learned nothing from my family history. And real quick, I'm Lauren Paritra. If you're new here, we have currently got a lead on Katie Miller. Katie Miller is the wife of Stephen Little Bitch Miller, the pale white nationalist from Santa Monica behind all of this ICE terror. She's married to him on purpose, and she's building a podcast on the backs of kidnapped Latinos and children. So every sub, every like, every comment, every share is an FU to Katie and Stephen Little Bitch Miller, and to Turning Point USA for that matter. So Turning Point USA, let's do a little refresher on Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk founded Turning Point USA, basically Christian right-wing recruitment operation for teenagers. They go to high schools and college campuses across the states, pushing hardline conservative politics. Get kids while they're young, turn them into activists, and send them out to the world. Esquire literally called it an extremist American martyrdom cult. Mainstream publications are now using those exact words. And now Erika wants to take it international. And Belfast is the first stop on her European tour. And again, Erika is a woman facing grooming allegations, and she's planning to set up shop in a city with thousands of teenagers with the backing of a disgraced politician whose father spent decades manipulating young people into sectarian violence. What could possibly go wrong? Now, let's talk about Paisley Jr. and why he's involved and the significance here. So his dad, Paisley Sr., was the face of the Protestant extremism during the Troubles. The Troubles, I'm going to try to put this as simply as possible. It was a 30-year period, 1968 to 1998, of violent conflict in Northern Ireland between Protestants who wanted to stay part of Britain and Catholics who wanted to join Ireland. And it resulted in 3,500 deaths from bombings, assassinations, paramilitary violence that tore communities apart. Decades of blocking peace deals from Paisley Sr., inflaming sectarian hatred, using religion to keep Northern Ireland in a constant state of conflict. He was a preacher, this guy, a politician, and genuinely one of the main reasons the violence lasted as long as it did. And he only ended up making peace with Sinn Féin when he was in his 80s. So Mr. Jr., Erika Kirk's pal, inherited his dad's parliamentary seat in 2010 and held it for 14 years until his own voters gave him the boot. And that happened in 2024, last year. And since then, he's been meeting with none other than the Trump family at Turnberry Golf Resort. attending inaugurations, positioning himself as Trump's unofficial guy in Northern Ireland. And the Trump-Paisley connection goes back to 2006, when Trump met both father and son looking for an investment opportunity in North Antrim. They stayed close. Trump apparently called Paisley Sr. the legend. Jr. got access to what he described as Trump's inner sanctum after the 2016 election, and now he's using those connections to help Erika Kirk set up Turning Point USA branches targeting teenagers in Belfast. We gotta take a moment too to talk about Ian Paisley Jr.'s greatest hit, because this is the man that's gonna be spending a lot of time with Erika Kirk. And he's not necessarily a pillar of ethical behavior. The Sri Lanka scandal is a big one. In 2018, he got caught secretly accepting luxury holidays from the Sri Lankan government. Flights, helicopter trips, there were 5-star hotels, everything paid for by the Sri Lankan government. He didn't declare any of it. And when he got caught, he blamed his staff. Then he threatened to sue the Telegraph, the publication, for exposing him. Here's the thing. That government massacred 40,000 civilians during those final moments and final months of the Sri Lankan civil war. Aerial bombardments of heavily, densely populated areas, and Paisley was just taking free holidays while claiming he had well-established knowledge of terrorism and post-conflict activities. Are we seeing any parallels here to anything else happening in the global conflicts? I'll let you think on that one. He got suspended from the parliament for 30 days, but that's it. During his time as MP, he claimed over $1 million in parliamentary expenses. Highest expenses of any MP in 2 years running, $232,000 in 1 year alone. Travel and accommodation, he said, all legitimate. And in 2008, he resigned from Stormont over dodgy property dealings with a developer friend. He had a holiday home registered under the developer's wife's name, called it an administrative hiccup. The Electoral Commission fined him for accepting money from local councils for party fundraisers, and he retweeted Islamophobic content from Katie Hopkins, the British far-right influencer celebrity. This is the man that Erika Kirk is choosing to work with. This is who is going to be her partner in crime and recruiting teenagers in Belfast. But here's why Belfast, of all places, makes this so much worse. Again, Northern Ireland spent 30 years in violent sectarian conflict. We had Protestants versus Catholics, Unionists who wanted to stay part of Britain versus Republicans who wanted to join Ireland. We had bombings, murders, families torn apart, neighborhoods destroyed. The trauma is still very much in these communities. Over 3,500 people died. That's generational trauma right there. And it wasn't random violence. This violence was organized, political, and deeply rooted in religious identity. Paramilitary groups on both sides were recruiting teenagers and using religion and nationalism to justify killing each other. The IRA was on the Catholic Republican side. And then we had loyalist paramilitaries on the Protestant Union side. We had kids growing up in neighborhoods where joining one side or the other felt inevitable. Ian Paisley Sr. was one of the main reasons this conflict lasted as long as it did. And now his son is welcoming an American organization built on Christian right-wing extremism to come recruit their teenagers. Belfast has spent decades trying to heal from the havoc that this family has caused. And here's what makes this even worse. A reunified Ireland is closer than it's been in centuries. Brexit changed everything. Demographics are shifting. We're seeing tensions already high. Unionists are nervous. Republicans are seeing an opportunity. Belfast doesn't need a lesson on what happens when religious extremism weaponizes young people. They lived it. They're still recovering from it. And that's the pattern everyone's ignoring right now. And it's making a lot of sense when we lay it all out here. So let's connect the dots because nobody else seems to be doing it. Turning Point USA is now specifically targeting 15 to 25-year-olds. That's their recruitment demographic, teenagers and young adults. And now she's expanding that reach internationally by going to Belfast, of all places, to set up branches there. And the man helping her has his own history, deeply rooted generational history of scandals, cover-ups, and taking money from governments that massacre citizens. It's looking a lot less like somebody trying to build an organization and more like somebody looking like they're trying to run a government here. The silence from Erika tells you everything you need to know. And again, here's what we know. She loves the spotlight. Live, laugh, loves it. Former Miss Arizona, Instagram stories up the wazoo, shows up to her own husband's memorial looking like she's closing a Vegas residency. The woman never met a camera she didn't like. But right now, silence. We've been asking for silence this whole time, and now we get it when all this is going on. Not a peep about the grooming allegations, nothing about the Turning Point USA purge, nothing about the conspiracy theories surrounding her husband's death, nothing about why private investigators are being deployed to her former employees' homes. Just Belfast, just the European tour, just more access to more teenagers. All while we've got what going on? Scandal unfolding right before our eyes. For Erika Kirk, for somebody whose brand is all about being seen and heard and in the spotlight, the silence is very loud. And here's the thing. Some legacies really do write themselves. We're gonna keep digging into this one, so please make sure you're subscribed and tuned in, notifications on, because this story is just getting started. And every flight that this lady books, instead of addressing what's going on at home and with her own staff and with the organization and with the text messages, that silence is very loud. And consider every like, every share, every sub, an F you to Katie and Stephen Little Bitch Miller and to Turning Point USA. We can't drown out those voices without lifting up these ones. So we're in this together. Back with more. And here's Willa.